Imagine a king so consumed by his own might, he declared himself the living god of all creation. A ruler who, in a breathtaking act of defiance, aimed his arrows not at earthly foes, but at the very heavens, shouting, "I will kill your god." What kind of man dares to challenge the divine, building a colossal tower to reach the sky, only to have his arrows return, strangely stained with blood? Why would the heavens seemingly allow such a delusion, only to deliver a retribution so peculiar, defies belief? This isn't just a tale of ancient power, it's the shocking saga of King Nimrod, a tyrant so cruel, he once cast a prophet into a fire that blazed to the clouds. His reign of 400 years brought untold misery, but his ultimate end, it was orchestrated not by a mighty army or a divine lightning bolt, but by something so small, so insignificant, it's almost laughable. Prepare to uncover the unbelievable life and the truly bizarre downfall of Nimrod, one of history's most infamous and arrogant figures. Thousands of years ago, in the sprawling lands of Mesopotamia, a figure named Nimrod rose to power. He commanded the Chaldean tribe, and in the nascent days of his rule, whispers spoke of a just and fair leader. His people, steeped in ancient customs, worshipped the celestial bodies and crafted idols of stone and wood. But as Nimrod's dominion expanded, as his empire stretched from the southern reaches to the northern plains, a venomous arrogance began to fester in his heart. Control became his obsession. With every conquered city and every new subject, his ego swelled until he did the unthinkable. He proclaimed himself a living god. Statues were erected in his likeness, and his word became divine law. Though his name isn't explicitly etched in the Quran, countless Islamic scholars believe he is the very king mentioned in Surah al-Baqarah, the one Allah blessed with kingdom and power, only for him to turn that gift into a weapon of pride, openly challenging the Prophet Ibrahim. His true name, some historical accounts suggest, was Naram-Sin, a name synonymous with Babylon's bloodiest and most ruthless reign. Nimrod holds a chilling distinction. He was arguably the first in recorded history to declare, "I am God." This same cruel hand laid the foundations of the legendary city of Babylon itself, and from its towering ziggurats, he began to inflict unimaginable suffering upon his subjects. Lore traces Nimrod's lineage to Ham, the son of Noah, suggesting a heritage of aggressive rulers who sought to bend humanity's destiny through vast empires, even influencing the formation of early nations like Egypt and India. Nimrod, it's claimed, not only built Babylon but also the ancient cities of Nineveh and Kala, solidifying his dark legacy as the world's first truly great, yet terrifying king. His military campaigns swept across Mesopotamia, conquering kingdoms and asserting an iron grip that would endure for an astonishing 400 years. Nimrod's seemingly impenetrable reign, however, was about to be shaken by an unsettling vision. One day, immersed in the opulence of his palace, King Nimrod fell into a deep, vivid dream, a dream that felt horrifyingly real. In this waking nightmare, a brilliant light descended from the heavens, outshining even the sun and moon. He awoke drenched in sweat, a cold dread gripping his heart. Immediately, he summoned his most trusted fortune-tellers, the mystical interpreters of omens, demanding an explanation for this disturbing celestial display. Their prophecy was chilling. A male child, destined to dismantle Nimrod's religion and ultimately orchestrate his downfall, was about to be born in his very kingdom. The cruel king, without a moment's hesitation, issued a horrific decree. Every newborn baby boy was to be mercilessly slaughtered. Within days, the land was stained with the blood of innocents, a testament to Nimrod's boundless paranoia. Yet amidst this carnage, a miracle was unfolding. The mother of Prophet Ibrahim, on the verge of childbirth, faced an impossible choice. To protect her unborn son, she devised a cunning deception. She told her husband, Azar, to go to the temple and pray, feigning a desire to present their newborn to Nimrod, should it be a boy, to gain the king's favor. But the moment Azar departed, she gave birth to Ibrahim and with a heavy heart secretly placed him in a hidden cave. Upon Azar's return, she feigned sorrow, declaring the baby stillborn. In the quiet solitude of the cave, Ibrahim was nourished by a divine miracle, the angel Jibril, ensuring his survival by making milk and honey flow from his tiny fingers. Years passed, and the king's dark dream faded from the collective memory. Ibrahim, now a young man, emerged from his hidden sanctuary, ready to declare the oneness of Allah. Eventually, Azar discovered his son was alive. Islamic texts describe Ibrahim as a man of striking appearance, medium height, hazel eyes, a beautiful face, and a clear, luminous forehead, bearing an uncanny resemblance to the Prophet Muhammad, down to the very shape of his footprints. As Ibrahim matured, his heart grew heavy with the pervasive idol worship that gripped his society, particularly his own father's devotion to the lifeless statues. From his earliest consciousness, he had rejected this falsehood. One restless night, he found himself drawn to a mountain cave, a place of contemplation, much like his great-grandson Prophet Muhammad. Under the vast, clear night sky, he observed the very stars and planets his people worshipped, a profound sadness settling upon him. What lay beyond these celestial bodies, beyond the moon, the sun, and the planets they deemed divine? The morning light brought a clear conviction. He returned home, ready to confront the deeply rooted idolatry. The Quran immortalizes Ibrahim's courageous words to his father Azar. Do you take idols as gods? Indeed, I see you and your people in clear error. Surah Al-An'am 74. This direct challenge ignited a fierce debate. Ibrahim's people worshipped the moon, Venus, the sun, and 7 other planets. To guide them, Ibrahim employed powerful, logical arguments recorded in the Quran. When the night covered him, he saw a star and said, "This is my Lord." But when it set, he said, "I do not love things that set." Then when he saw the moon rising, he said, "This is my Lord." But when it set, he said, "If my Lord does not guide me, I will be among the misguided." Then when he saw the sun shining, he said, "This is my Lord, this is greater." But when it set, he said, "O my people, indeed I am free from what you associate with Allah." Surah Al-An'am 75-79. Ibrahim's reasoning was undeniable. How could transient objects which appear and disappear be worthy of worship? A true God, he argued, is eternal, unchanging, and never abandons his place. This was no simple tribal debate. Mesopotamian civilizations of that era, between 1500 and 2500 BCE, possessed advanced technology and knowledge, with the Sumerians' writing influencing the entire region of Babylon. Nimrod sought absolute subservience from all these sophisticated societies, inflicting horrors upon his people. It was at this very juncture that Allah sent Ibrahim as a prophet, a beacon of truth to guide the cruel Nimrod and his deluded subjects, teaching them Allah's divine commands. Ibrahim first attempted to reason with this advanced, yet misguided society, hoping to sow seeds of doubt in their false beliefs. But truth, then as now, carried a heavy price. His brave words, questioning the worship of lifeless idols, were met with fury even from his own father, who threatened his life. Ibrahim remained calm, respectful, promising prayers for his father's forgiveness, and resolute in his rejection of idol worship, unwilling to see his father suffer eternal fire. Ultimately, driven by his profound faith, Ibrahim had no choice but to leave his father's house, embarking on a path that would lead to an even greater confrontation. Even alone, after being cast out from his father's home, Ibrahim did not cease his relentless mission. He continued to implore his people, striving to awaken them to the beauty, the immense power, the profound wisdom, and the absolute oneness of Allah. Yet they clung stubbornly to their idols, deaf to his pleas. Undeterred, Ibrahim conceived a daring plan. The Chaldean tribe observed an annual festival, a grand exodus from the city for celebration, leaving the idol-filled temples unguarded. Ibrahim seized this opportunity. With the streets deserted, he ventured into the main temple, armed with a sharp axe. He gazed at the silver, copper, and wooden effigies, the food offerings laid before them, and spoke to them, a chilling silence answering him. Do you not eat from the food in front of you? What is wrong with you that you do not speak? Surah As-Safat 92-93. Without a trace of fear, he raised his axe and systematically shattered every false god, reducing them to scattered fragments, sparing only the largest idol. Then, in a stroke of sheer brilliance, he hung the axe around the neck of this colossal statue. When the bewildered people returned from their festival that evening, a scene of utter devastation awaited them. Their cherished gods lay in ruins. Panic and outrage swept through the crowd. Who could have committed such an unspeakable act? Their suspicions quickly coalesced around Ibrahim, the young man who constantly railed against their beliefs. They confronted him, their voices laced with accusation. Did you do this to our gods, O Ibrahim? His reply was masterful, a trap laid with deceptive simplicity. Perhaps the largest idol here did it. He was likely angered that you worship the others. Go on, ask him what happened. Maybe he will tell you. The idol worshippers scoffed. You know well that these idols cannot speak. And there Ibrahim delivered the crushing blow, his voice ringing with undeniable truth. If they can't even speak or protect themselves, how can they protect you? Will you still not understand? Surah Al-Anbiya 59-67. Ibrahim had utterly defeated them with irrefutable logic. Even the learned leaders and religious scholars stood speechless, unable to counter his arguments. But their overwhelming pride prevented them from admitting their folly. Instead, they resorted to the only power they understood, brute force. Ibrahim was seized, bound in chains, and held awaiting King Nimrod's return. King Nimrod at that crucial time was away, leading his military conquests from southern Mesopotamia towards Anatolia. Upon his triumphant return to the city, his indignant leaders immediately informed him of a defiant young man named Ibrahim, who not only refused to worship their idols but had dared to destroy them. Nimrod, his ego bruised, summoned Ibrahim. He initially attempted to persuade him, but when persuasion failed, his anger flared into a dangerous inferno. The Quran recounts their legendary debate. Have you not seen the one who argued with Ibrahim about his Lord because Allah had given him power? When Ibrahim said, "My Lord is the one who gives life and causes death," the man replied, "I give life and cause death." Then Ibrahim said, "Allah brings the sun from the east, so bring it from the west." The disbeliever was utterly shocked, and Allah does not guide a people who do wrong. Quran Surah Al-Baqarah 258. When Ibrahim asserted, "My Lord gives life and death," Nimrod, in a twisted display of his perceived power, brought forth two condemned prisoners, executing one and pardoning the other, declaring, "See, I give life and cause death." But Ibrahim's next challenge to make the sun rise from the west left Nimrod speechless, exposed, and humiliated. Enraged by this public defeat, Nimrod convened his advisors, demanding a suitable punishment. It was Henan, one of his cruelest counselors, who proposed the monstrous idea, "Let us burn him in a huge fire." The suggestion was met with zealous approval. Preparations began immediately. For an entire month, wood was painstakingly collected, a ceaseless caravan of fuel arriving for the pyre. The ignorant masses, manipulated by their leaders, eagerly participated, chanting, "This man is against our gods." A mountain of timber soon towered into the sky. When the monstrous fire was finally ignited, its flames roared, licking at the clouds, so intensely hot that birds could not even fly near its periphery. As the inferno reached its peak, the people gathered, a sea of morbid fascination. Ibrahim, bound in chains, his hands and feet tied, was brought forth. Yet this close friend of Allah al-Khalil remained incredibly calm, radiating an unshakable trust and surrender. No fear, no worry touched his heart. Even the angels themselves made fervent supplications to Allah. Nimrod and his advisors debated how to cast Ibrahim into the scorching abyss. Finally, they settled on a monstrous catapult. Nimrod believed that by burning Ibrahim alive, he would decisively prove his own divinity. This was the first true challenge to his absolute authority, and having no logical answer for Ibrahim's words, he felt humiliation demanded this ultimate barbaric response. At that moment, the heavens and earth trembled. Angels cried out, "O our Lord Ibrahim, your greatest worshipper is being thrown into the fire. He is a prophet who never forgets you. Please let us help him." Allah granted permission. An angel appeared, offering control over the winds. "If you wish, I can blow the fire away." Another offered the waters. "I will pour water and extinguish it." A third offered the earth. "I can swallow the fire into the ground." But Ibrahim, with a serene heart, replied to them all, "Do not come between the friend and the one he loves. Whatever my Lord wills, I accept it. If he saves me, it is his kindness. If he lets me burn, it is because of my shortcomings. I will be patient, inshallah." As he was placed in the catapult, poised for the fiery plunge, Ibrahim uttered words that would forever resonate with faith. "Allah is enough for us. He is the best one to rely on." Just as he was propelled towards the consuming flames, the angel Jibril appeared, asking, "Do you have any wish?" Ibrahim's profound response, "Yes, I have a request, but not from you." Gabriel, astonished, pressed, "Why don't you ask Allah to save you?" Ibrahim simply said, "He already knows my situation. Who gave the fire permission to burn? Burning only happens by his command." The fire was not burning just because it was fire. It was burning because Allah commanded it to burn. He understood that if the fire consumed him, it would only be by Allah's will, and he was content with that divine decree. For Allah's sake, he was ready to face even the fires of hell. This noble prophet, utterly fearless, felt the intense heat all around him as he began to fall into the inferno. Then Allah's majestic command resonated, "O fire, be cool and peaceful for Ibrahim." Surah Al-Anbiya 69. By divine decree, the raging fire instantly transformed. It did not harm Ibrahim, it merely burned the ropes that bound him. Inside the flames, Ibrahim remained calm, praising and glorifying Allah, his heart overflowing with love and unwavering certainty. For those whose hearts are truly devoted to Allah, even fire holds no terror. The masses, the leaders, the priests watched from a distance, the heat nearly scorching their faces. But then an unbelievable sight emerged. Someone was walking out of the heart of the inferno. It was Ibrahim, safe, unharmed, his face illuminated by the light of Allah's mercy, stepping calmly from the ashes. The disbelievers witnessed this profound miracle and cried out in utter defeat. Allah declares in the Quran, "They wanted to harm him, but we made them the greatest losers." Surah Al-Anbiya 70. This stunning miracle shamed the idol worshippers, but it did not extinguish the smoldering fire of anger and arrogance in Nimrod's heart. Nimrod, still deluded by his own power, declared to his court, "If there is a God in the sky, then I must reach him and defeat him too." He immediately commanded the construction of a monstrous tower, a structure so colossal it seemed to scrape the heavens. Reports claim this defiant edifice rose for days, even weeks. Once it reached its staggering height, Nimrod ascended to the summit, his bow and arrows in hand. With a roar of challenge, he aimed skyward and let loose his arrows. In response to this audacious act of blasphemy, Allah returned the arrows, strangely stained with blood. Nimrod's sycophantic soldiers, witnessing this, shouted in triumph, "Look, he has wounded the god in the sky." It was a sign meant to humble Nimrod, a divine message he utterly failed to grasp, instead allowing it to inflate his already gargantuan pride. Unbroken, Nimrod again summoned Ibrahim, roaring, "Call your Allah, I will fight him with my whole army." He then dismissed Ibrahim, expecting a grand divine host to appear. After some time, Nimrod saw Ibrahim approaching from the distance, but the prophet was alone. There was no army behind him. Nimrod erupted in mocking laughter. "Now I am truly embarrassed," he boomed. "I gathered a great army, but you brought no one. Did I prepare all this just for you? Where's your Allah? Where's his army?" Ibrahim calmly replied, his voice steady amidst the king's derision, "Wait, it will arrive soon." And then it descended, not a legion of angels, not a storm of fire, but an unfathomable, buzzing army of mosquitoes. The swarm was so dense that people couldn't even open their eyes. These tiny creatures possessed a terrifying power. They would alight upon human flesh and relentlessly consume it until only bones remained. Witnessing his mighty soldiers writhing in pain and confusion, their bodies being devoured by these minuscule attackers, Nimrod's arrogant bravado shattered. He turned and fled, abandoning his army, rushing back to his opulent palace. He bolted the immense doors behind him, convinced he was safe from the buzzing terror. But one small, almost imperceptible, crippled mosquito found a tiny crack in the door. This microscopic creature, seemingly insignificant, would become his ultimate, bizarre undoing. The tiny mosquito, having slipped through the palace's defenses, flew directly into Nimrod's nose, burrowing deep until it reached his brain. There it began to move, to buzz, to gnaw, causing an unbearable, excruciating pain that quickly escalated into a maddening torment. Nimrod, the self-proclaimed god who had commanded armies and cast prophets into fire, could not endure the agony. He began to slam his head against the solid palace walls, desperately trying to dislodge the tormentor. When that failed, in his desperation, he hired men, offering them increasingly vast sums of money to strike his head with hammers. He promised greater rewards to whoever hit harder. For days, the soldiers pounded Nimrod's skull, the very head that had worn a crown for 400 years, and with each blow, Nimrod would shriek, claiming he could still hear the mosquito buzzing within, begging them to strike again. Allah intensified his pain with each passing day. The suffering grew beyond human endurance until, finally, one soldier delivered a blow so powerful that Nimrod's skull cracked. And with that, the tyrant Nimrod, the man who had dared to challenge the heavens, met his utterly ignominious end. In the Quran, Allah reiterates, "They tried to harm Ibrahim, but we made them the greatest losers." Surah Al-Anbiya. Nimrod, who became bloated with pride and arrogance from his worldly power, and his unfortunate people, were all destroyed by tiny mosquitoes. Their blood was drained, their mighty bodies reduced to nothing, a clear, potent lesson for all of humanity. Nimrod, the man who blasphemously challenged Allah and cast his prophet into a blazing inferno, left behind a life story overflowing with profound lessons and stark warnings. His miserable, almost farcical, death at the hands of a single, tiny insect will forever be etched in history as a testament to the ultimate fragility of human hubris. This incredible event also connects to a famous, insightful answer from the revered Imam Shafi. One day he was asked, why did Allah create mosquitoes? Imam Shafi, with his characteristic wisdom, replied, to remind people that even someone like Nimrod, so proud and full of himself, could be defeated by the weakest and most insignificant of Allah's creations. That, he explained, is the profound wisdom behind it. May Allah forever protect us from the insidious clutches of pride and arrogance, and may the strange, unbelievable story of King Nimrod serve as an eternal reminder that true power belongs only to the divine.